Hot 103.9, your favorite homegirl, Beasy Baybie, here in the afternoons, chilling with you. But today I want to talk about something that's going on in the community that is affecting everyone as a whole. And I have a special guest on the line with me to do that, Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson, what's going on with you, King?
Peace and love, Queen. Thanks for having me on the show. Shout out to South Carolina and all your surrounding listening audience.
No problem. Doc, tell us who exactly you are. Give people a little brief background history on Dr. Umar Johnson.
Certainly. Dr. Umar Johnson is a doctor of clinical psychology. I'm a certified school psychologist and educator. I'm a Garveyite, blood relative of the great Frederick Douglass, founder of the national movement to save black boys, as well as the National Independent Black Parent Association, and author of the book Psychoacademic Holocaust, Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys.
Okay, welcome to the show, Dr. Umar Johnson. I wanted to speak to you about this because in light of what is going on with down in Louisiana, we have another black male, Alton Sterling, that has been shot and killed by police officers within the last 24 hours. And there's an outrage. Social media has, the video's gone viral. The hashtag Alton Sterling is now trending. And I just wanted to kind of get insight from you to see what maybe we could do to change things. I'm going to give you just a brief history on what happened here. I know you probably know, but for those who don't, police were called to the scene in Baton Rouge, Louisiana yesterday because a gentleman supposedly had pulled a gun on another gentleman. So when the police get there, we don't know exactly what transpired, but according to CNN.com, a pop was heard, officers were heard saying, "Get down." Another pop was heard, and then we're able to see what transpired after that on a fuzzy cell phone camera video. To me, it looks like officers, one officer subdued the victim, another officer was helping. Both hands seem to be pinned down. You hear someone holler gun, and then the victim is shot numerous times at a very close range. Did you see and get what I got from it?
Yes, ma'am, and I saw the video, and based on what I saw, I believe you're kind of exactly right. They had him pinned down. His hands appeared to be secured. The officer pulled out the weapon while the man was secured on the ground, Brother Alton, and then shot him in point-blank range unnecessarily. Their lives and safety were not threatened in any way, shape, or form. They were on top of him. He had no way he could have reached for a weapon, even if he had one.
And they are saying he did have a weapon. One source is saying it was in his pocket. One is saying that they found it at the scene. We're not really sure where the weapon was found, but from what I saw, he couldn't have possibly had the weapon in his in his hand or been a threat.
Yes, and I would agree. If he had a weapon, they would have pulled it out. They're not going to leave you with a weapon on your person. They're trained to frisk you as soon as they engage you. If he had a weapon, it would have been pulled out. I don't believe he had a weapon. I believe that's something they're trying to use to justify the homicide.
Now, I read on CNN.com, Louisiana's governor is calling for calm and unity, says he has very serious concerns after watching the video and that it's disturbing to say the least. Dr. Umar Johnson, you deal with trying to uplift our community and empower our community on a daily basis. This is a plight that you are on day in and day out. This is what you do. So I'm asking you, the hashtag Black Lives Matter is trending, has gone viral. Tell us what more we can do. How do we resolve the issues in our community? How do we face things like this? I mean, I was in tears watching the video. How can you not fear for your children as they leave your door when they are facing issues like this outside of it?
I was in South Florida when the Trayvon Martin verdict was handed out, and I still remember the reaction to the community. They were so shocked and in awe that George Zimmerman was acquitted, and because there was no systematic, protracted, organized, and non-emotional response from the black community as a result of the Trayvon Martin killing and the subsequent Zimmerman acquittal, I predicted then that the murders and the police exterminations would only increase, and they have. From Freddie Gray to Sandra Bland, and we can just go on, and now we have Brother Alton, and it's going to keep on getting worse until the black community organizes itself in a non-emotional way in a protracted, well-organized struggle. Look at the civil rights movement. Look at the abolitionist movement. Look at the anti-Jim Crow movement. Look at the Black Power movement. Study any revolution on the planet, anywhere in the world, and you will see that the only thing that has ever pushed back against oppression. The only thing that has gotten the police to stop assassinating people was when the community decided that they had had enough and they were willing to risk their own lives, livelihood, and safety to bring it into what's going on. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be violent, but it does mean you're going to have to do something to upset the status quo. Otherwise, this is going to keep on going because behavior never stands still. Behavior never stands still. It's either getting better or it's getting worse. So if we don't respond to this, guess what? We'll be having the same conversation 30 to 90 days from now when they do it again in another city to another black man.
Wow. Dr. Umar Johnson live with Beasy Baybie on Hot 103.9 93.9. There is a serious problem, and if we don't change it, it's going to get worse. Dr. Umar Johnson, do you have any final thoughts for
Yes,
us?
I do. Yes, I do, Beasy, and it is this right here. Black people are partly responsible for what's going on with these mass killings by police. The genocide campaign has black people partly complicit in it. Two reasons why. Number one, when President Obama ran for presidency, the first term as well as the second term, and throughout his entire administration, black people have been going public stating that America has changed, that we don't need to talk about race. We don't need to talk about racism. We don't need black organizations. We don't need the NAACP, the Urban League. We don't need the sororities and fraternities. We don't need the historically black colleges. We, Beasy, by our political ignorance and rush to judgment as a result of the Obama election, created an atmosphere where aggressive white racism and supremacy can come back in a form that has been more potent than anything we've seen since the Jim Crow era. Number two, even with all these murders, even with all these killings of black men and women in America during the Obama administration, the black community has failed and its leadership has failed to call out the president publicly and hold him accountable for his failure to bring the Justice Department into the investigation of the systematic killings of black folks in America by the police under his administration, which has intensified since his election. President Obama should have been called for a Department of Justice investigation into the systematic national killings and brutality of police against blacks, and he has refused to do it. Although he fights for the homosexuals, he fights for women, he fights for immigrants, he's pushed the Latino agenda. Obama has done nothing for black people, and yet we continue to defend him. So we are also responsible for Brother Alton's blood being spilled.
Let me ask you another question, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Sure.
I posted on my Facebook the video and left it up for discussion, and I always welcome opinions that don't necessarily match my own. And a lot of the people are saying we are also at fault because we kill one another, but we go into an uproar when others kill us. What do you say?
I agree with that. I believe that is a great contradiction, that black lives tend to matter when they're taken by white folks, but black lives tend not to matter when they're taken by other black folks. So I definitely agree that that is a contradiction in our struggle. It is a political irony that has to be addressed. However, I would clarify it to state, when you look at the factors that play into black-on-black extermination, homicide, and fratricide, many of those causal agents, Beasy, are related to systematic disenfranchisement and discrimination against black folks. In other words, the stress of unemployment, the stress of mass incarceration, the stress of miseducation, the stress of poverty plays into that vacuum that gives rise to black-on-black violence. So I am not condoning it, nor am I excusing the responsibility we have when we take each other's lives. But we also have to keep in mind that there are factors related to the power structure and the status quo that play a hand in black-on-black crime.
Dr. Umar Johnson, thank you so much for once again coming through and informing us and also letting us know where you stand in times like these. Always present in the community. Dr. Umar Johnson, please let them know where they can find you on social media or your website.
Yes, indeed. They can follow me at Instagram and Twitter at Dr. Umar Johnson, DRUMARJOHNSON. Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, and they can reach me through my website, drumarjohnson.com, and I'm still waiting on you, Sister Beasy, to find me a venue in South Carolina so I could come on down and preach the good gospel of Garveyism and black unity.
And we are going to start working on that this evening. Thank you again for calling in. Definitely always a pleasure. We'll get you here soon. For those that want to see Dr. Umar Johnson, keep your eyes and ears peeled. He's coming. Keep it tuned right here to Hot 103.9.